and it's 8 a.m. and she's been doing this since 7 a.m. She just prances around the bathroom putting on her millions of Goop Glow product. First, my mom drinks her Goop Glow super powder and she eats nothing except for dates and almond butter, so she will have that. I suppose the Goop Glow is a part of her cleanse, which she's been on since the day I was born, apparently.
If you once loved the person enough to have children with them, you have to focus on what you still love about them and what's beautiful.
Hey guys, today we're diving into some serious drama surrounding Apple Martin, and trust me, this story is wild from start to finish. Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter is making headlines, but not for the reasons you might think. For anyone who might not know, Apple Martin is the daughter of Coldplay's Chris Martin and Goop founder Gwyneth Paltrow. Born into Hollywood royalty in 2004, this Nepo baby seemed to have it all: fame, fortune, and a future laid out on a silver platter. But here's where things take a dark turn. According to multiple sources, Apple's actions at one of LA's most prestigious schools, Harvard Westlake, led to some serious consequences. We're talking about allegations so severe that they reportedly resulted in her removal from the school. And get this, the situation allegedly involved bullying that pushed another student to a breaking point. But hold on to your seats, because this privileged princess story is about to get 10 times the really fascinating part. While most celebrity kids can't escape public scrutiny, Apple's team somehow managed to make these stories disappear faster than her mom's Goop products sell out. We're talking NDAs, carefully crafted press releases, and some very convenient official explanations. Just when you thought the school drama was intense, wait until you hear what happened in Paris. Let's talk about Apple's grand debut into high society at Le Bal, basically the Super Bowl of rich kid events. Picture this, a custom Valentino gown that took 750 hours to make. Yes, you heard that right. And what does our girl do? Creates drama that had social media in an absolute frenzy. There's this viral clip that's been making rounds, showing Apple straight up photobombing another debutante's moment. We're not talking about an accidental walk by. This was a full-on spotlight steal that had everyone cringing. The internet went wild, calling out what they saw as classic entitled conduct. But here's what's really sending me. While all this was happening, Gwyneth and Chris were there playing the perfect family card. Both parents front and center, brother Moses in tow, all smiling like there wasn't a scandal in sight. Classic celebrity damage control, if you ask me. And if you think that's outrageous, just wait until you hear what's going down at Vanderbilt. The tea from her college life is absolutely scalding. Multiple students have come forward, and let's just say Apple isn't exactly winning any popularity contests. According to classmates, she's bringing that same energy from high school to college, but now with a sorority twist. Now, let's spill what's really happening at Vanderbilt. Sources say Apple joined a sorority. Shocking, I know, but what's really raising eyebrows is how she's reportedly using it. Think less sisterhood, more personal entourage. But the theater department tea? That's where things get embarrassingly messy. Multiple sources have confirmed that Apple keeps auditioning for campus productions. But here's the kicker. She's apparently not landing any roles. And no, it's not because of scheduling conflicts or bad timing. According to students in the theater department, she's just not talented enough. Imagine having Chris Martin's musical genes and Gwyneth's acting chops, and somehow ending up with neither. Speaking of talent, let's address the elephant in the room. While most Nepo babies at least try to prove they deserve their fame, looking at you, Lily Rose Depp. Apple seems to be skating by purely on her last name. The only thing she's really accomplished is some modeling gigs. And let's be real, that's basically chapter 1 of the Nepo baby starter pack. And just when you thought she couldn't be more like her mom, wait until you hear about her diva demands. Students say she throws around her family name like it's a get-out-of-jail-free card. We're talking expecting special treatment everywhere from the cafeteria to the classroom, but unlike her mom, who at least built her own empire, questionable as Goop might be, Apple's just existing. Let's talk about the power of privilege, because this is where things get really interesting. While most of us would be canceled faster than a Netflix show after one season, Apple's got the ultimate damage control team working overtime. The way these stories disappear from the internet, it's giving major Illuminati energy. Those NDAs from the Harvard Westlake situation. Sources say they cost more than most people's college tuition. But here's what's fascinating. Every time our team scrubs a negative story, 10 more pop up from students who are just done with the cover-ups. It's like playing whack-a-mole with bad press, except the moles have TikTok accounts and zero fear. And can we talk about how her parents handle all this? While Gwyneth's out here selling overpriced wellness products and Chris is touring with Coldplay Play, their PR teams are working harder than a Kardashian's Photoshop expert. The way they spin these stories, pure magic. But the charity event last month, that's when things went from messy to straight up chaotic. Remember how I mentioned those modeling gigs? Well, I remember how I mentioned those modeling gigs. Well, at this recent charity event in New York, multiple attendees reported some seriously entitled conduct. We're talking showing up late to a cancer benefit, demanding specific photographers. And This is the wild part, allegedly refusing to pose with certain guests because they weren't influential enough. But here's what really gets me about this whole situation. The stark contrast between Apple's public image and what's happening behind the scenes. On Instagram, she's this perfectly polished Chanel girl, living her best life. But the reality, it's giving very different energy. And speaking of energy, wait until you hear what her former classmates are saying now. Fresh tea just dropped from former Harvard Westlake students who are finally speaking out. According to these sources, the bullying incident wasn't just a one-time thing. They're describing a pattern of actions that would make Regina George look like a saint. We're talking about systematic targeting, social isolation, and using family connections to silence anyone who dared to speak up. Let's break down the privilege playbook here. Step 1, cause drama. Step 2, have daddy's Coldplay money and mommy's Goop empire clean it up. Step 3, rinse and repeat. But in 2025, that strategy isn't working as well as it used to. The way these new details are emerging, it's about to make the previous scandals look like child's play. Social media has completely changed the game. While traditional media might play nice with the Paltrow-Martin clan, Gen Z is out here spilling receipts faster than you can say conscious uncoupling. TikTok is basically becoming an Apple-Martin behavior archive, and no amount of PR can scrub that clean. Now, let's talk about something that's really raising eyebrows: Apple's attempts to break into different industries. Remember when Karl Lagerfeld predicted she'd be a Chanel girl at age 4? Well, that might be the only prediction that's actually panned out. But the failed career attempts? This is where things get seriously secondhand embarrassing. Sources from Vanderbilt's music department say she tried to join their prestigious program, claiming she had natural talent from her dad. Spoiler alert, apparently, the apple fell pretty far from that particular tree. One student who was present at her audition said, and I quote, "It was giving American Idol audition episode energy." But it's not just the performing arts. According to multiple sources, Apple tried launching a secret wellness brand, because of course she did. She's Gwyneth's daughter. But get this. The project allegedly never made it past the planning stages because she expected everyone to work for exposure and connections instead of actual. And just when you thought the entitlement couldn't get worse, wait until you hear about the dormitory demands at Vanderbilt. She reportedly requested a private floor in the freshman dorm for security reasons. When that didn't work out, witnesses say she tried to have her roommate relocated because, and I'm not making this up, the girl's target room decor wasn't aesthetically aligned with her vibe. You literally can't make this stuff up. Let's dive into something that's been flying under the radar: Apple's social media presence, or should I say, her carefully curated facade. While most Gen Z influencers are all about authenticity, Apple's Instagram looks like it was edited by a team of PR professionals, because it probably was. But her private Finsta account, that's where the real tea starts spilling. According to students who've seen it, her private account tells a completely different story. We're talking about posts mocking scholarship students, bragging about getting professors to change grades, and even making fun of people who have to work campus jobs. The privilege is literally off the charts. And speaking of privilege, remember that whole getting kicked out of Harvard Westlake situation? Well, news sources suggest the official story about her parents disagreeing over her education was totally fabricated. The real reason? Apparently, multiple families threatened legal action over her conduct. The way they tried to cover this up? It's giving major damage control desperation. The PR spin was impressive, though. They managed to turn a potential scandal into a story about concerned parents making educational choices. Meanwhile, they were allegedly writing checks bigger than most people's mortgages to keep everything quiet. But money can't buy. Now, let's talk about something that's really got people talking: the way Apple treats service workers. Because if you want to know someone's true character, watch how they treat people they think can't benefit them. The stories from campus coffee shop workers will literally make your jaw drop. Multiple employees from Vanderbilt's campus establishments have come forward with stories that'll make you cringe. Apparently, she once demanded a barista be fired because they didn't know who she was when she tried using her mom's name to cut the line. Another time, she allegedly threw a fit because the campus bookstore wouldn't close down for her private shopping experience. But here's where it gets really interesting. Her inner circle is starting to crack. Former friends are breaking their silence, and the stories they're sharing, pure chaos. One former friend, who wishes to remain anonymous, obviously, spilled that Apple keeps a literal spreadsheet of people's social media followers to determine who's worthy of being in her presence. And the sorority drama. It's about to make Mean Girls look like a Disney movie. Sources say she's managed to create such division within her sorority that they had to have an emergency meeting about her conduct. Apparently, she tried to implement a social media follower minimum requirement for members and suggested they should all pitch in to hire her a personal assistant for sorority duties. Let's switch gears and talk about something that's been making waves in the fashion world. Remember how Apple made her debut at Paris Fashion Week? Well, behind those perfectly posed photos lies a story that would make Anna Wintour clutch her pearls. The backstage drama at Fashion Week, it's giving major fashion disaster energy. Industry insiders are spilling that Apple's conduct at fashion shows has been less than impressive. One source claims she demanded to be moved to the front row at Chanel, which, by the way, was already full of actual fashion editors and celebrities. When told no, she allegedly pulled the "Do you know who my mother is?" card. Spoiler alert, they did know, they just didn't care. But what's really fascinating is how this pattern of entitled actions keeps repeating. It's like watching a masterclass in how not to handle privilege. And speaking of masterclasses, let's talk about her academic life at Vanderbilt, because these new details are wild. The way she tries to handle group projects will leave you absolutely speechless. According to classmates, she expects everyone to work around her schedule because she's basically a public figure. One student reported that she tried to get out of a group presentation by sending her assistant. Yes, she has an assistant at college to negotiate with the professor. When that didn't work, she suggested the group should hire a professional presenter to deliver her part because she had a more important commitment, which turned out to be a shopping trip. Now, let's address something that's been circulating on social media: Apple's alleged attempts to launch her own YouTube channel. And trust me, this story is a whole new level of privilege gone wrong. The demands she made to her production team. You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. Sources close to the project say she wanted to start a lifestyle channel, because apparently we need another privileged perspective on how to live our best lives. But here's the kicker. She reportedly demanded a full production team, multiple cameras, professional lighting, and get this, a personal scriptwriter because she shouldn't have to write her own content. The channel never launched, but the planning meetings alone are the stuff of legend. One former team member spilled that she wanted to do a relatable college routine video filmed in her luxury apartment, with her personal chef preparing her meals and her driver taking her to classes. You know, just like every other college student. But the real tea about her social media presence is even more outrageous. Apparently, she has a team of people managing her social media accounts, which isn't unusual for celebrities, but the rules they have to follow are next level. They're not allowed to post any photos where she's not in the center of the frame, can't show her with anyone who has fewer than 100K followers, and must run Let's talk about something that just happened last week, because this really shows how the apple doesn't fall far from the goop tree. Apple tried to launch her own wellness initiative at Vanderbilt, and oh my goodness, the details are pure gold. Her wellness program suggestions will make your head spin faster than her mom's jade eggs. According to student council members, she proposed mandatory consciousness alignment sessions before exams at $500 per session. When asked about students who couldn't afford it, she reportedly suggested they should manifest the money or ask their parents. The proposal was shut down faster than one of her mom's controversial health claims. But here's where it gets even more interesting: her response to the rejection. Multiple sources confirm she tried to get her mom's Goop team involved, suggesting they could transform the campus energy with crystal-infused water fountains and aura cleansing study rooms. I wish I was making this up. And just wait until you hear about her plans for the campus dining halls. She allegedly demanded the cafeteria start serving only organic, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free options because, according to her, regular food is basically poison.